Hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. So, what I've got for you today is the breakdown of one of my favorite tools that can really help you gain momentum into unpacking and getting clarity around your career based on where you've been, where you are, and where you're trying to go. And essentially, it's this Figjam board where I've got this here laid out for you so you can totally expand or contract whatever you need. The stickies and headlines and so on, it's all for here. It's all here for you to manipulate. The nodes are modifiable so that you can expand and contract however much you need to. And the purpose of this is, as I said, to capture the journeys, the peaks and valleys of your past present in order to help inform what you want to do with the future of your career. And so I have it's the same thing, but this is essentially a more zoomed in version, and that's why this one is a little blurry, but I can tell you what it is. And what it does is highlight. For me, I go back and forth between both age and then years based on what I remember. And then in each phase, my goal for you is to spend time identifying and bringing to the surface what things of note, what jobs, what projects that you worked on that were influential for your growth and your journey. And doing so is going to give you a level of clarity and depth that some people seriously just don't have access to because they don't spend the time doing this. And so, case in point, when I was 16, my goal was to break into comic books and become a comic book illustrator. And so the moment and decision point that I thought would bring me closer to that goal at that time was during my 16th birthday. My mom gave me a choice: drafting table that was like positionable in height, and it was just, I couldn't get over it, or a car. And I chose the drafting table. And if I could make that decision again, go back in time, I'd still choose the drafting table, because for me, I spent hours and hours and hours working on my craft, studying, balancing high school, and then I had a co-op at a comic book studio as well in my last year of high school. So for me, it was perfect. That was what made sense for me. And then as I moved forward in my career, that's just a little duplicate, ignore that. As I moved forward in my career, going through OCAD in the illustration program, I was working different jobs in both retail, and then after I pivoted to graphic design at a different school, I was doing other jobs. Like I even cleaned office buildings. I worked different like admin desk jobs. Like I worked at Toys R Us, as you can see. And then when I graduated, I had more retail jobs, and then I got my first design job. But then I was impacted by the 2008 recession, and that was really hard for me because that was the first time that I'd had such a major setback that was out of my control. And so, yeah, I was really depressed, and that was the time period where I'd sent easily 1,000 applications, and I got very little return and feedback on that. So I've been there. Do I hold the record for most job applications in a year? Probably not. But the sting of throwing your applications into a black hole is no good. It doesn't feel good at all. And so all that to say, what's really important is that we spend time identifying the who, what, when, where, and why. And so as I go through the timeline here, this was the big bang moment for my UX origin story in 2013. And then it goes on and on and on into when I got my first job at the Toronto School Board. And during that time period in 2013, when I did my first project with an organization nested within the school board, and I took their process from a paper to digital process. And that was a huge moment for me. It was a very big success because I was a team of one. And I learned so much, and then come to find out this was design thinking, human-centered design, right? And so from there, I got into my first agency role after leaving the Toronto School Board. Had agency, and then after that, I moved on to my first enterprise SaaS organization role. And even like when we look at this sort of time period, 2018, the threat of a layoff during my time as a UX specialist in agency was very scary. It was terrifying. My back was against the wall, and I was doing everything I could to try to avoid like just getting kicked out on my butt with nothing in hand. So I was backing up all my projects. I built my portfolio, which back then took such a long time. And then even though it didn't happen, it reinforced a mindset that I brought with me ever since. And it's what I teach my clients as well. So that's the overall objective. Okay. Like to capture and spend time doing this inner work in order to help inform what you want to do going forward, even if it's just one chapter or one season forward. And so when I first did this, I mean, some people call it chunks of 10, some people call it other things, but the career audit template timeline is a significant tool that I treat more of as a living document. Like every 6 to 12 months, I come back just to reference and see if there's anything else I remember. And then I also populate it with what I've been up to so that I always have this artifact to come back to, and not only to help keep me honest, but this practice of documentation has really, really served me time and again when I needed to get into the weeds of telling a story. And so that is my goal for you. The first time I did it, it took me about 2 weeks to get it into a place that really helped to represent where I've been and where I was at. And so that's why before I do any work with my clients, I have them do this first as the first step. So that way we can get some visibility into the who, what, when, where, and why of their particular journey. So by all means, go and make a copy of this, go to town and get into it. And then if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So with that, take care, and I'm rooting for you.